Well, I don't think there'll be a meaningful impact straight away. Indonesia still faces a lot of difficult cyclical and structural challenges. Obviously, at this stage, the cyclical issue is the current account deficit. But the Jokowi, or part of Jokowi's campaign pledge was one very big point for the current account, fuel subsidies. This is an issue not just for the current account, but also for the fiscal standpoint. And he has promised that he'll raise fuel prices by 1,000 rupiah per year. It doesn't sound like much, but over time, given Indonesia's position as a net oil importer, this would help to, one, improve the overall current account position, which would make it that much easier to finance Indonesia's development over the longer term. But it would also improve the fiscal positioning as well. So it's more of a longer term policy, but it would be quite a good sign for foreign investors. But just don't expect any big bang immediate impact on the economy. I think the markets have shown much greater comfort with Jokowi, primarily because of his track record in terms of, or his track record built up in his time in Jakarta and as mayor of Solo. He was much more open to business. He removed a lot of red tape and really sort of focused on the ability to get things done, which in any economy is something that makes businesses very happy. Whether or not he's going to stick with a lot of the very larger projects, the mining legislation and so forth, that's been a big focus in the media, protectionism on, say, the banking sector as well, that, again, we still just have to wait and see. It may just be rhetoric to try to get his foot in the door, but it does seem as though the markets still seem slightly more comfortable with Jokowi than they do Prabowo. Well, the current account deficit remains pretty large. They still need to. Still looking to finance something in the region of 26 billion US dollars just in terms of the current account position this year, and then moving into next year, we're looking at it being something around 20 billion. Now, obviously, FDI inflows are roughly about 20 billion a year, so you're still left with a bit of a gap there, and Bank Indonesia does have sufficient reserves at this stage, but it's always a bit of it's not a particularly liquid market at many times, so the currency can be quite volatile. In general, we expect the rupiah to move broadly in line with the global tightening cycle that will come through as the Federal Reserve starts to tighten its own policy stance. And so, we'd be looking for a gradual depreciation in the currency. Now, whether or not this impacts, say, the equity market or the domestic bond market, that remains to be seen. But inflation is going to move lower in the coming months, even with a 1,000 rupiah price increase on fuel. We don't expect it to add more than about half a percentage point on next year's inflation. Obviously, if it's 2,000 rupiah, you'd get a full percentage point. But it does look to me as though the appetite that should come through, just on the basis of having greater certainty in the political sphere, should help Indonesia. But as I said, structurally speaking, you're still looking at a weakening currency. Just now the economy will be a little bit more. Bank Indonesia will have a little bit more scope to have a little bit more of an accommodative stance, which should help overall restart the economy, see growth tick back up, but also be quite favourable for, say, the bond market.